Well, good morning, everyone. We are actually in our house just because I think it's Anzac Day, well, the observance of Anzac Day for our kids at school. So they're going to sit and or kind of chill out and sleep in. So I got the house right now quietly to myself. So here we are. We continue on with Anxious for Nothing. With Max Lucado's book here. And we're in a new section. The new section is section 2, Asking God for Help. Letting your requests be known to God. And in chapter 5, believe it or not, we're already in chapter 5 in the book. This is titled Contagious Calm. Anxiety is needless because God is near. Let me just start us this morning with reading. Disaster was as close as the press of a red button. 4 Russian submarines patrolled the Florida coast. U.S. warships had dropped depth charges, and the Russian captain was stressed and trigger happy and ready to destroy a few American cities. Each sub was armed with a nuclear warhead. Each warhead had the potential to repeat a Hiroshima-level calamity. Had it not been for the contagious calm of a clear-thinking officer, World War III might have begun in 1962. His name was Vasily Arkhipov. He was 36 years old, chief of staff for a clandestine fleet of Russian submarines. The crew members assumed that they were being sent on a training mission off the Siberian coast. They came to learn that they had been commissioned to travel 5,000 miles to southwest to spearhead the new base near Havana, Cuba. The subs went south, and so did their mission. In order to move quickly, the submarines traveled on the surface of the water, where they ran head-on into Hurricane Daisy. 50-foot waves left men nauseated and the operating systems compromised. Then came the warm waters. Soviet subs were designed for polar waters, not the tropical Atlantic. Temperatures inside the vessels exceeded 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The crew battled the heat and claustrophobia for more than for this 3-week journey. By the time they were near the coast of Cuba, the men were exhausted, on edge, and anxious. The situation worsened when subs received cryptic instructions from Moscow to turn northward and patrol the coastline of Florida. Soon after they entered American waters, their radar picked up the signal of a dozen ships and aircraft. The Russians were being followed by the Americans, and the U.S. ships set off depth charges. The Russians assumed they were under attack. The captain lost his cool. He summoned his staff to his command post, pounded the table with his fists. "We're gonna blast them now. We will die, but we will sink them all, and we will not disgrace our Navy." The world was teetering on the edge of war. But then Vasily Arkhipov asked for a moment with his captain. The 2 men stepped aside. He urged his superior to reconsider. He suggested that they talk to the Americans before reacting. The captain, listening, his anger cooled. He gave the orders for the vessels to surface. The Americans encircled the Russians and kept them under surveillance. What they intended to do is unclear, as in a couple of days the Soviets dove, eluded the Americans, and made it home back safely. The incredible brush with death was kept secret for decades. Arkhipov deserved a medal, yet he lived the rest of his life with no recognition. It wasn't until 2002 that the public learned of the barely avoided catastrophe. As the director of the National Security Archive stated, the lesson from this event is that a guy named Vasily Arkhipov saved the world. But why does this story matter? You will not spend the 3 weeks in a sweltering Russian sub, but you may spend a semester carrying a heavy load for a class, or you may fight the headwinds of a recession. You may spend the night after night at the bedside of an afflicted child or an aging parent. You might fight to keep a family together or a business afloat, a school from going under, or in our case, do self-isolation for almost 5 weeks. You will be tempted to press the button and release. Not nuclear warheads, but anxious outbursts, a rash of accusations, a fiery retaliation of hurtful words. Unchecked anxiety unleashes an enola gay of destruction. How many people have we wounded as a result of unbridled stress? And how many disasters have been averted because one person refused to buckle under the strain? It is this composure Paul is summoning in the first of the triad of proclamations. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything. So that's Philippians 4, 5, 6. The Greek word translated here as gentleness, epikeis, describes a temperament that is seasoned and mature. It envisions an attitude which is fitting to the occasion, level-headed and tempered. A gentle reaction is the one of steadiness, even-handedness, and fairness. It looks humanly and responsible as the facts of a case. Its opposite would be an overreaction or a sense of panic. The gentleness is, quote, evident to all. Family members take note. Your friends sense a difference. Co-workers benefit from it. Others may freak out or run out, but a gentle person is sober-minded and clear-thinking, contagiously calm. The contagiously calm person is the one who reminds others that God is in control. This is the executive who tells the company, let's do our part and we'll be okay. This could be the leader who sees the challenge, acknowledges it, and observes it. These are the tough times, but we will get through them. Gentleness. Where do we quarry for this gem? How can you and I keep our hands away from the trigger? How can we keep our heads when everyone else is losing theirs? We plumb the depths of the second phrase, let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything. The Lord is near. You're not alone. You may feel alone. You may think that you are alone, but there is never a moment in which you face life without God. God is near. I like that last part. The Lord is near. You are not alone. You may feel alone. You may think you're so it's just an instant that we might feel it in our heart, but we also might think that we're like sometimes we are our worst enemies. You know, like we can see everything going around and we do what sometimes counselors call we catastrophize a situation. And we feel like everything is spinning out. And you end up looking up to God going, well, where were you? Where are you? Are you here? Are you away from me? I'm reminded of that poem, Footprints. And, You know, the woman is walking with Jesus on the beach, and she looks behind and she sees 2 tracks of footprints, and she sees, talks to Jesus, and Jesus is like, yeah, this is, you and I are walking together. This is part of life. This is what I'm wanting to do in relationship with you. And so she's like, oh, they're close. Like, this is how I want to do life. Like, I was doing a life all alone, and I was, then I became a follower of Jesus. Now you're walking with me in the good times and the hard times. And, Jesus says, yeah. He goes, so good times go, and then some hard times happen. She looks back down at the set of footprints, and she's like, oh, there's only one set of footprints. And that's sometimes how we feel. Like, we feel that we are alone, that we're just fighting this battle, of whatever that battle is, and the struggle is real. I'm not trying to like discredit or minimize or marginalize the struggle. Your struggle is real. Struggling with 3, 4 kids at home, homeschooling every one of them, coming up with meal plans, coming up with things to do after homeschooling, then, your husband or your wife doesn't have work, might have work. Her position or his position could be redundant. The company could go bankrupt, or maybe it's your company. You're looking at this the employee money that came out of the government. It's going to dry up in about 2-3 months. What do? So you look back at the beach like this woman does and sees one set of footprints. Immediately you would think, oh man, I got duped. So it is just me. Well, if you know the end of that poem, that's not the case. Jesus reminds her, almost challenges her, almost proclaims to her out of love, and says, look, these are the moments when I carried you in my arms, because you didn't have the capacity or the strength or the fortitude or the willpower to even walk. And that's what God does. And so that's what I feel, that's how I believe. I know this. I can give you testimony over testimony of God's faithfulness in our lives, in the Thwaites team. Like, we've tried to do things. So our motto in our family is come as a team, go as a team. Like, we're in it. And even as I got an 18-year-old daughter, she still has that motto, that mentality is we come as a team, we go as a team. But the person that is our main cheerleader, our biggest critic, is always Jesus. We're going to follow him because great is his faithfulness. God is near. The Lord is near. And we could be like Vasily, have that quiet calm, that and I love that contagious calm. But too many times we are like that submarine captain where we're gonna go to war, and we need to pull back and pray and remember that the Lord is near. Well, God bless you. And I don't know why my camera can't go horizontal today. I tried lots of times. Facebook's just being a little interesting, but God bless you, and we will talk to you tonight. Bless you, and all right, have a good day.